So back in another episode of Craftoria, and today I think we are going to go for an adventure into the end, or so I hope. Now, before I do all of that, I do want to mention that if you're a supporter of any tier, whether that is on Patreon, over on Twitch, or through Discord, or even here as a YouTube member, be sure to get your world download all linked down in the description below. You can find the Discord link there. Make sure you're all connected on the Discord and find that world download channel, and you should have access to it. And you can download the world download, the snapshot from the end of today's episode. Everything will be in that as you see it at the end, like I said, of today's episode. So definitely be sure to check that out if you kind of want to have a starting point where I'm already at, or you just want to check out the progression as it continues on and get a perspective that you don't actually get typically from the videos. So now with that, back to today's episode. And we are going to be going, like I said, to the end. But I'm not going to be going to the end without prepping first. And that means I think today is the day that we dive deeper into Ars Nouveau and we make ourselves some very, very powerful spells. Now, when it comes to Ars, the only thing holding me back at the moment is just making essences. And essences are really what's preventing me from moving forward. And so I'm going to go ahead now and get the process set up for making all of the essences. And the way that I'm going to do this easily is by just using a barrel here. And then we're going to have an imbuement chamber and then our 3 slots for the things that are going to be required for each of the essences. Now, as far as essences are concerned, these right here are the setups for the essences. So we just need like some milk. We already have this essence because we've crafted it. We're going to need Wild and Horns, a Starbuncle token, which is why I recommend if you see a Starbuncle, grab it because you're going to need one. A book, all of this stuff is rather easy to obtain and it actually does not get consumed. So the only thing that is kind of hard to get would be potentially snow if you haven't stumbled upon a snowy biome. Thankfully we have. Now I do want to mention you can use the entropy manipulator, by the way, if you do not have snow laying around. I thought I had some snow laying around. I do not. You can just charge it up a little bit. You don't even need that much and you just need a water bucket. And the cool part about this is you need access to flowing water. So just place some water like this where it's flowing one side out. And you can make unlimited snow, given that you have enough power in your entropy manipulator, and you just right click it, or shift right click, I should say, on the flowing part of the water, and you get all the snowballs you could ever want. There's also a lot of different things that this can convert like matter to. So you can take snow pallets, for example, or the snow slabs and turn them into flowing water, which is pretty nice. All kinds of different stuff. You can go in and you can turn brick directly into cracked brick. So you can use this, for example, inside of builds to just convert like blocks from one state to another. Pretty darn cool. And if I remember correctly, this can be automated, I do believe, in like a modular router. So there is uses for it. So all of these are pretty much set in stone. However, I really like to put these barrels underneath the imbuement chambers and then lock the barrels. And then we can use puller upgrades, which basically make these drawers act as kind of hoppers that can push and pull, but they can do it from any side of the block. Pretty darn cool here. And then in this case, I want to make sure this is pulling from the up side on all of these. So I'm going to set them all to up and they just need to go inside the actual block. And you can see they go in the utility slot. Now to truly be able to utilize your functional storage, I need the linking tool. So we have that, and then also the configuration tool, which is going to be super useful. And all of this, by the way, is inside of the quests here. And I didn't actually graph this, so none of these actually completed. And I think that's a issue with, for example, the way this quest is sort of set up. If the quests were in a different format, and I'll go ahead and show it here. And that way you can potentially change this if you absolutely want to. But if you change the progression mode from linear to flexible, it will mean that you won't actually have to go in here. And I know you can't do this on a server, for example, but if you put it in flexible mode, anytime that you get any of these items, then you don't have to go through every single step and make sure that you crafted it the way the quest wanted you to. You can, as it implies, be a bit more flexible with your progression through the mod. But that's just a pet peeve of mine, and I typically like to do it that way. That way I don't have to go, oh, I didn't have this one item. Okay, well, now I have to go back in and craft it. Even though you still have to follow this progression line to get your rewards. But if you did, for example, craft that diamond upgrade earlier, well, you don't have to go and craft it again if you're actively using it because you crafted it into a netherite upgrade, for example. Now back to our configuration tools. So this mode right here by default is set to locking, and this kind of acts like a key. So we can click on here and you'll notice now we have a little lock icon, and that means this drawer is going to be locked. And this is the really, really nice thing about using these drawers is you can lock them, and that puller essentially makes it act like a filter. So whatever's inside of here is going to filter what can be pulled into it. So I can actually put my gems in here if I have them. And I've actually already done this over on the gem making side. And what I've done is I've set up 2 drawers here. I can put lapis in here. It'll automatically work its way into this. And then I just need to lock this one and it filters. So it doesn't have to be locked, but as you can see right here, there's 88 in there. And once it has an item in there, that's the only item it can pull in, and thus it's filtered. So long as I have some lapis that I can spare, I'll take it, dump it in here, and that's going to filter over here, and it's going to utilize our source that we are producing to produce this. So now I can take this and we can automatically get this started. And this is going to kind of be by hand for right now, but later on I could set up like an automated modular router system that evenly distributes all of these. So at first though, I am going to have to hand put the item into the filter, but this is where this thing is going to be pretty nice. And this is going to be pretty slow as of right now because I technically need to make this source relay, well, a different type of relay. And that relay is called a splitter relay. So right now we are producing all of the stuff that we need to make this. So we can just simply take this one and we should be able to move it. So just to make sure we are in the right position, I believe we are centered right here, which is nice. So I'm going to go ahead and mark its location just like so. And we can go ahead and break it and actually upgrade this. So just some lapis, it looks like, and some quartz, and we're going to be ready to go. So now that we have this, I can start making some pretty awesome spells. But let me first show you how this upgrade works. So I've gone ahead and placed it in, looking pretty good. And I just need to now take the location from here and just right click its position. And then we're going to right click here. So now that should be receiving just like that. And then we'll go ahead and link this back up to this one. Beautiful. And so now that should be receiving and sending here. But the cool part about this one is we can now send this to multiple locations. So I can right click it again and I can now send to that jar and well, send to this jar and well, also send to this jar and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to get it linked to all of these jars that you see next to these positions. And this will just give me immediate access to crafting these things upon demand. To be fair, this is pretty cool looking, watching it kind of distribute, which is kind of what this does, just distribute source to all those locations. So I went ahead and crafted a few of these. You can see right here, the ones I didn't have: bounce, smelt, name, explosion, and slow fall. All of these are very, very nice. You need at least a tier 2 book to be able to do what I'm about to show you here, but this is going to be a pretty cool spell. So if you just have tier 1, something that you can build is a leap spell that also has bounce. And it's going to kind of work like a slime sling. And it's pretty darn cool. You can use your leap and your bounce, and you can use an amplify to amplify your leap a little bit. And then your bounce is going to allow you to bounce and not take fall damage. This is a pretty cool spell. But I'm going to show you another spell. If I go ahead and go into a new one, we are going to build a self leap spell that's going to kind of work a little bit differently than our kind of glide book here. I'm also probably going to need a duration down potentially, but what I want to show you is that leap can be amplified and then modified with slow fall, and we can call this dash, but this dash is going to keep us in the air. So where I was talking about the duration down, I still haven't crafted that glyph here, but duration down would kind of lower the time that slow fall gets applied to it. So if I use this spell, what is going to happen is we are going to end up in the air and we float. So we can just constantly float, and it also removes fall damage because when you're in slow fall, you don't take fall damage. So you can just dash yourself directly into the ground. And it is a pretty cool effect in my opinion, and gives you a really nice fall and kind of flight that you can get kind of early on. And you can do this like for a long period of time. Notice though that my my source that you see in the bottom left hand corner, it takes a beating with this for sure. But the fact that I get to slow fall means I get to stay in the air for quite a while this is going on. Now I'm only in tier 1 gear. So if we upgrade our gear here and we also add some other effects to it, it's going to be a lot better, and we're going to have a bit more mana to spare. And if we enchant this gear and we also get some mana effects, it's going to be even better. Now, all of this here is in preparation for taking on the dragon. And not only that, I have a feeling that between this and iron spells, this gear combined with all of the spells that we're going to get access to is going to be some of the most powerful mid-game stuff that we can have available to us. Especially when we get to crafting like custom bows and all kinds of other cool things that I want to get done today. Now, I want to upgrade my gear. Alteration table is going to be another table that we need. And let's place this down. Oop, I placed it wrong. There we go, like this. Perfect. So now we have our scribes table and our alteration table, allowing us to modify our gear. But we only have like a couple of low tier slots. And like I said, we really need to upgrade this gear. And right now it's tier 1. So to do that, we simply need to just apply some blaze rods to it and a source jar. And we just place it in here, and this is going to get it all leveled up. I've got to do this for each piece of gear. This is also going to increase the base stats. So notice it says 30 mana and 6 armor. If we look at the upgraded version, which I think it's best to see after we've done it, right? Yeah, because this rotates through all of the different upgrades. But there we go. You can see this one has 60 mana, which I believe has doubled this, plus 2 regen. And I think the original version of this, yeah, only had the 30 mana with 1 regen. So essentially doubling it at this rate. Now I can't go to the tier 3 because we got to go to the end for that, but that's kind of the goal for today, right? Is to get to the end. Okay, now hear me out. I've done a little bit of work. All right, so I ended up getting the Ring of Greater Discount. This is also something that I 100% recommend if you are doing anything Ars related, and also the Amulet of Mana Regen. Now you do have an option of either Mana Regen or Mana Boost. I kind of like the mana regen. I like it to regen quicker so I can use my spells faster, but the other one basically makes your pool, your source pool, a little bit larger. Now, enchanting is where the big benefits come, and we're also going to be applying some threads, which I do have to craft up. But if you want to cheese out the enchantment system, there is an easy way you can do that with Apotheosis. And for example, my helmets, right? It's kind of best to just, instead of throwing your helmet in here to enchant, well, we can just grab some levels, and I can go ahead and toss these tomes that are specifically related to each individual piece of gear. And I can go ahead and start crafting them. And what I can do is I can just combine them in an anvil, and we should be able to build out like some of the best gear. You can see I have mana boost on here with protection 3. I can just sort of build this out. And we have a ton of experience thanks to our mob farm here and all of our experience gems. Now, after a lot of enchanting, I've almost got all the protection I think needed. I have protection 5 on all the pieces and mana boost 4 and mana regen 4 on almost all pieces from doing this method of creating those books. It's so nice. Now I still need, I think, protection 5. No, I got it on the helmet as well. So we are now setting in a full protection 5 gear set. And some things have higher levels than your base level. And you can see with the blue, that means that we have gone there, and that's because of Apotheosis. So we are running protection 5 on all of this stuff, and pretty nice. We even have fire protection on some things, which it's not going to help us all that much. We really just needed that protection. I think that gives us like what, an 80% reduction in damage, which is going to be very, very nice on this gear. Now, just to kind of show it, remember earlier, just with our gear equipped and leveled up, we were dashing and it was using up most of our bar. Now look at what it does. So now dashing really takes nothing at all. And yeah, it's a kind of a huge change. It almost instantly regens, allowing us to dash even more all over again. And I'm not even going to stop here, because we're going to make this even more powerful by applying threads to these empty slots that you see here on the gear. So I've just crafted up a few different threads, some of them being a bit more expensive than others, the thread of spell power being one of the most expensive ones. But you got to keep in mind the ones that are expensive are typically the ones that are the most powerful. And speaking of most powerful, these two right here, in my opinion, are the ones that definitely need to be in the empty 3 slot. So you are going to get a bonus effect whenever you use those higher tier slots. For example, in the chest piece, I can go ahead and slap this down, and it does go in order. So I'm going to put this spell power in here, and you can see that is now locked in and now has a spell power 3 in that slot. And in the pants, what I can do is I can put magic capacity. Now, something you can't do with this, just kind of mention that the gear, you cannot have like more than one of these. So I can't do like 2 spell powers inside of these separate pieces of gear. No. So you do kind of have to weigh, like you're not going to get bonuses on this. But it is recommended to definitely utilize these top tier slots. Like right here, we have these other tier 2. I would say the higher thing to use is the warding. This is going to actually help by reducing your magic damage by a flat amount. Pretty nice to have. I can put that on the helmet, no big deal. And I'll go ahead and slap that on. Very, very nice. And while I'm in here, I'm also going to put the thread of repairing in here, and that's going to go in the tier 1 slot. Honestly, that's just going to, I believe, increase the amount of speed that this repairs, the gear repairs itself on, which is pretty nice. You don't even need mending. This just will repair. On the boots, I'm just going to go ahead and slap the feather falling on here, and it's going to go in a tier 2 slot, giving us kind of a reduction in damage if we were to fall from a good height. So all of this is pretty nice, especially the spell power. It's going to increase how powerful our spells can be, and you can see right here the magic capacity will just, while wearing it, just increase our magic spell power even more. So the amount of swords that we have in the left. And I believe the more glyphs we also craft, the higher our capacity becomes as well. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with ours, but I think next thing, before we go to the dragon, before we hunt down this said dragon, well, we are going to use this enchanter's bow. And what I want to do is build a spell. Now you can right click this and you can put it onto the scribes table. And what you can do is inscribe a spell onto it. But something you need to keep in mind, that the bows will have an innate projectile built into them. So when you build out your spell, you do not have to worry about putting projectile on here. So putting the projectile, it's just going to have it innately. And every Ars weapon and every Ars tool has its own properties, and you can see all of that inside of the book. It explains all of it, which is pretty cool. Like, for example, the sword applies amplify and stuff like that, and it will have an innate touch. So it's pretty cool to get this set up. Now for the bow, what I really want to do is I just want the bow to shoot a projectile and that projectile to explode. And then I want it to have max AoE. And that is what I want. This bow is insane, and we'll call it boom. Because there's no other thing that you need to describe it as. It's just going to go boom. And I'm also going to make it red. We'll save that. And then make sure that that is saved. And then you shift right click. And now that spell is inscribed on here. And by the way, when you change the color of the spell, notice that this has a red texture now because of the color that we changed it on the spell. So pretty darn cool. You can customize the colors. The color, of course, doesn't mean anything other than it just is a customization. But there we go. So what does boom do? And I think the best way to demonstrate this is by actually going to the nether and showing you, but we're going to use it in the end as well. So perfect. I am in the end, but I do want to modify something real quick. Remember that we made a light spell? Well, I want to change this from projectile to self. And by doing that, and if I use this ability now, it's going to give me night vision. So we now have a way to get easy night vision. It's super, super nice. But remember, we're out here to test the bow. And what does this bow do? Well, let me show you. Yeah, it is an absolute menace and can clear out very, very large areas of the nether. Insanely large areas, meaning that you can gain access to ancient debris very quickly if you build out this bow. But not only that, we are going to use it to take out the pylons for the dragon. So we shouldn't have a problem doing that at all. Should be super easy. Something else to also mention, that I did go ahead and make a warp stone. So I now have a warp stone and I can use this to get back and forth to any of my pylons. It does seem like the warp stone still costs experience where it didn't in the past, but still, it's got a pretty low cooldown. Like, it's not going to take too long at all, it looks like, to cool down. Oh wait, it's got a durability, not a cooldown. Oh my goodness, has this changed even more? You know what? I'm honestly fine with it having a durability instead of a cooldown. I'm fine with that. Because the cooldown was always kind of annoying. So having a durability is not going to be too bad at all. Like, we can just make a new one. They're very, very cheap. Now, another thing to prep up is, well, the feeding upgrade. We can't go in there without the feeding upgrade. Like, we have to have this. Now, I don't know, as I've not tested this, if the infinity ham actually works inside the bag. But I typically like to set this to an allow list, and then I'll set this to here. And it doesn't look like it allows me to set this in here. Now, there might be a tag and we could potentially match a tag. Nope, that also does not go in here. Match mod, and that also doesn't go in here. So maybe if I do set this to blacklist, that will work. I have no idea. I'd have to wait and see. If not, we can just throw some bread in here, and that is going to be honestly better than the infinity ham anyways. Just having like an infinite supply of food that's in here. But we definitely want to see. So I'm running around, and we're about to run out of saturation, and we'll see. Like, if I have it set to if we take damage, then it will do the thing. So let's blaze jet up here, and we'll fall down. And we might actually not even take damage. We don't because of our feather falling ability. How would I take damage? Maybe cactus? Actually, you know what? We could just turn off this and you can see it's feed immediately when hurt. Do not consider health. And then also only feed when hungry enough. Feed as soon as the player is a little bit hungry. And you can see right here, it's not doing that. So I don't know if this can actually be used in here from the looks of the feeding upgrade. Just kind of prove a point, if I take some baked potatoes and I put it in the bag, it should eat these immediately. I would think, yeah, as you can see, it just ate it. So it does not consume the infinity ham. This is definitely something to keep in your inventory for emergencies, and just make sure that your backpack is set up in here. Make sure you have it set to only if player needs to eat, and then feed immediately when hurt. And then 100% set this to allow, because otherwise it could eat some random things that could give you some negative effects, and that would not be good. And as if ours isn't powerful enough, let me show you something else kind of crazy. So I have a projectile smelt AoE. In the more AoE you do, and I think amplify, the more it will smelt. And then sensitive. Sensitive is important for this because we don't want to smelt the ground. And this is going to smelt items. And if I toss, for example, the raw beef down here, I can shoot this and just instantly smelt these items down here. Yeah, very, very quick. So now with all of this cool stuff, we should be ready to find this. We just need to throw the eye. Perfect. And then just travel to wherever it takes us. And I'm honestly not worried about losing eyes, considering how easy it is for us to just replace them. So just head in this direction. I love that I can just use my spells now. Oh, it's so quick. And then toss another eye until I locate it. That's honestly the way it goes. Now, one thing I wasn't expecting was how close this actually is to where we're based at, because it's already turned around and I'm not too far from it. Okay, so this is dramatically changed directions here. And just to put it in perspective, right over there's our base. So if this is pointing in this direction, now we should probably go over here and see at what point is this changing direction. Is this going straight down now? Okay, it went this way. Okay, so it did change direction. So we've got to be getting pretty darn close. Let's kind of head down here. Actually, oh, I shot a spell. Yeah, let's try it again. I don't even know. Oh, it went like straight up. It looks like. Am I seeing that right? It went this way, but we just came from that direction. So shouldn't. Okay, so it's got to be like right here. It is literally right underneath this somewhere. Okay, that's interesting to know. So now that we know that it is right here and underwater, which is not the best thing in the world, we can kind of float, I guess, and see if we can locate the exact coordinate that this kind of drops down into. Should be like right here. Aha, there it is. So yes, now it is going underwater. And it looks like right about here is where we need to go down. Now, I don't have respiration, believe it or not, on my helmet. So this might be kind of tough. But if we use our spell book and we use our break spell, we should be able to avoid any water penalties and be able to get down here pretty quickly. And going right into here. Oh man, it let us right in. That is beautiful. Okay, so now we've just got to locate the portal, and it looks like that, yeah, this is just your standard fortress, right? Or standard, yeah, nothing special here. And you know, I don't know why I always forget that this is called a stronghold. fortress. This is definitely not a fortress. Anyways, this might be a good place for some night vision. So that night vision spell is going to come into play. Man, ours is just so powerful, so good. My goodness, all of its utilities, all the things it can do. Man, really amplifies the early game, that's for sure. This chest loot's got to be pretty good, right? There's another tier 1 glyph. And yeah, I mean, none of that stuff is super useful. I'll always take the glyphs, though. And that's probably the easiest portal I've ever had to locate. We came from right here, walked right through, and voila, there it is. I'm also going to take that out. Yeah, I'm going to take out the spawner there. We have 9 eyes, which doesn't look like it's going to be enough. But that should be fine, right? Because we can just place a waystone down. And waystones are so powerful as well. Okay. So I'll put a waystone in this room. And we'll call it End Portal. And I guess I better prepare myself for a dragon fight. And so now, without further ado, I present to you the end. Voila. And I did bring some glass bottles because we're going to need to collect some dragon's breath. That's going to be the primary thing I am definitely after. And everything else should just flow. And we shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. All right, let's fight a dragon. Yes. It's always scary falling directly into that lava. But we should be able to place a waystone, so we should be able to travel back and forth, no problem whatsoever. Oh man, all right, let's create an escape tunnel. That way we can just mine straight up. There we go. We have easy access to get in and out of here. Back to Shapeless. Place a waystone down immediately. Hopefully the dragon leaves it alone. And yes, this dragon looks really scary though. But I think it's just the normal dragon. All right, I'm after this. Aha. And there's our dragon's breath. That's exactly what I wanted. Perfect. All right, so let's now dash up. And because we have that slow falling effect, we should be able to use our bow now with our dash. And this bow, like I said, it has a huge area, right? So it makes it super easy to take these things out. You don't have to be accurate. You don't have to do anything crazy. You just shoot, even if it's at the bottom, and you're ready to go. Oh, this is fantastic. And this might actually come in handy taking down the dragon itself. Should be pretty easy. Just be careful. Yeah, the explosions will anger the Endermans. So, yeah. And there are some scary Endermans, by the way, that we do have to keep an eye out for. But it does look like it's doing a pretty good job. Like, it takes that tower out, like, with no problem whatsoever. The dragon has no idea what's happening right now. So good and so easy. We only have one left. And it's done. And now we just simply fight the dragon. Now, how does our gear actually do against Enderman? You can see it's not too bad. Like, we do take a little bit of damage for sure. But, I mean, we are handling that damage very, very well. Also, the dragon has landed. And I should probably be over here smacking it down. But I'm going to get these Endermen off of me, first of all. And, oh yeah, there you go. Another use for the slow fall. It's so nice. Now, something else you may be wondering. Chosen, can you catch the dragon in a Drigme jar? And to answer that question, 100% yes. And it even has some uses. You can right-click the Drigme jar with a bottle, and it'll give you, and you can automate this, it'll give you dragon's breath. So it is kind of nice to do this. And you could just capture it right away and not even kill it, technically. But I kind of do want to take it out at least once. So yeah, definitely worth taking this guy out. I do want to do it by hand, but I don't know. I still might, I don't know. If I shoot this and it lands wrong, then it really starts to cause a problem because the Endermen go all kinds of crazy. But we should be able to stand inside here. And so when the dragon actually lands, I can just attack its head wherever it's at. There it is. Yeah, and just take it out bit by bit. Slowly but surely. Ah, yes, the standard vanilla dragon fight. So this should be it for the dragon. What a simple fight. Like, man, once you prepare yourself, taking out the dragon really becomes just effortless at that point. So good, so good. I'll make sure to grab the rest of that. Perfect. And I'll take that XP. Thank you very much. Now I can't forget to grab the egg. Thankfully it actually spawned somewhere that's pretty nice. Let's grab a torch. And we should be able to pick this up just like you would normally in vanilla. You gotta love these vanilla mechanics. There we go. Perfect. And voila, we now have the dragon egg. So now, why exactly did I go after the dragon today and want to get to the end? Well, the reason being is because it actually unlocks more of the just dire things, and I'm really going to be wanting that. So, just dire things, right? The next tier up is the void shimmer goo, which will get us into powered things that are absolutely unbreakable. And to be able to do this, we needed to get Instone and we needed Dragon's Breath. So the easiest way to do that is, of course, from the source, from the dragon. And we should be good here, right? And there's also a ton of other things that get unlocked in this sort of setup. We unlock the ability to make everything from the Occultism mod, right? So a lot of mods are just gated behind you doing the vanilla tasks, but the game really unlocks once you have access to all of these dimensions. The base dimensions, that is. Now, the next thing to do, well, is to fly up here and to place this down if I can get lucky. Bam. Perfect. And we are going to travel, just like that, to the End Islands. And this gives us access to chorus fruit, which we're also going to need quite a bit of. So there we go. Plenty of chorus fruit. And, well, also in cities, which should have some really nice loot and also unlocks the actual elytra for us. Another crazy thing this also unlocks is the in-game of Ars itself. And now that we have this, we can make the next tier upgrade for our armor, making all the things and slots that we already have even more powerful. Now, the armor does get even better than this as you get into elemental gear and you pick your specific elemental gear. But at this point, we should be able to now make some really powerful gear from just dire things. But the structure here for the in cities, oh man, it's actually the updated one. Okay, this is pretty nice. And, oh, this place is absolutely beautiful though. So yeah, we have the updated in cities. I just got to make sure to boop these out of existence before they become incredibly annoying. You know what? I do like these though, and I probably should take out a few shulkers, probably capture them as well. You know what? Instead of me fully taking them down, why don't I catch one in here? There we go. And so now I can take one back home with me. And I can't go to the end without grabbing my elytra. Oh, beautiful. And look at all this loot. There's so much. Oh, portal scroll. That's pretty nice. We have most of these though, due to just the sheer craziness. What is this? A warp drive. Ender pearls are not consumed? Oh, at the cost of hunger instead. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, look at that. Hump Day. This is for Wednesday. Okay, that's a horse summon spell? That's pretty cool. And his name is, oh, Hump Day. I love that name. We got some runes. We got some more diamond gear with some enchants on it. The Scarf of Invisibility. That seems kind of interesting. Makes a player invisible to others. Wait, when moving? Wait, did I read that right? When moving cautiously. So when sneaking, you're invisible. That's pretty cool. Fire breath. I mean, just, yeah, most of this stuff is going to be really nice. And, oh man, legendary ink. All of this is very, very nice. And as you can see right here, we are finding artifacts, special artifacts too, that I think are just associated with this dimension alone. Oh man, what is this? Wind shield? It just like pushes the mob, it looks like. That's exactly what that looks like. Oh yes. It spawns these around us, and whenever a mob hits it, hits one of these spells that are circling around us, it will then burst them into the air. Judging by the spell here with the wind burst and amplify. I also can't forget to grab the skull, which is right here at the front. So beautiful. Now we have our dragon head. And now inside these buildings should also contain some really, really nice things. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to worry about this stuff though. But yeah, there are so many chests in here. They're definitely worth looting. Oh man, beautiful, beautiful. It feels really good doing this kind of early game as well. Wait, I did end up finding the Amulet of Teleportation here from Iron Spells. That's another interesting thing. Just, yeah, it seems like the loot in here is very, very nice. Feels like it, I don't know if Iron Spells had changed this, but I don't remember these inks being as easy to get from loot chests like this, but maybe that was a change. It does feel really nice. But with that, the End City and the dragon have now been conquered. And well, we have to put something on, oh, that is going to definitely show that accomplishment. And that is the dragon's head. And boy, does this thing look awesome. So, guys, if you did enjoy today's episode, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And well, give this video, of course, a huge thumbs up. And don't forget, if you're a supporter of any tier over on the Discord, Twitch, Patreon, here as a YouTube member, be sure to get your world download. All of that definitely handled over on the Discord. So if you have any questions, of course, you can ask over there if you're interested. And guys, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Thunder. Thank you so much for your amazing support by choosing to support me over on the Discord, by becoming a Discord premium member, and supporting in one of the best ways possible. You absolute boss. Thank you for going above and beyond. And of course, guys, I'll see you in the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye!